Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the SPARC June 1st, 2023 meeting. Let the record show that the regular SPARC meeting is now called to order. Ann, can you take a roll?
Sure. Anita Batista. Here. Dan Bickford.
Here.
Cindy Carlton.
Here.
Michelle Dressler.
Here.
Ken Fox. Here. Ryan McCarthy.
Here.
Kathleen Pishney.
Here.
Stephanie Price.
Here.
Dr. Alan Tudhill.
Present.
Dean Velasco.
Here.
You have quorum. Linda Maricol is absent.
Okay. We have quorum present. Item number 2, approval of the agenda. This is where we're going to, are there any items to be added, deleted, or reordered on the agenda? And I am proposing a move of non-public comment up to after number 3. So it'll be the new number 4. Everybody okay with that?
I'm okay with it.
Anyone
I'm
else
okay
have
with
any?
that. Without our speaker for the community center update, maybe we should move that down.
That's actually a good call because he might be running late. So let's move number 8 to number 4, and let's move number 4 to number 8.
Perfect.
Move to approve as amended.
There we go. There's our first. And we have a second.
I second it.
Okay. Dean Velasco.
Yes.
Dr. Tudhill.
Yes.
Stephanie Price. Kathleen Pishney.
Yes.
Ryan McCarthy.
Yes.
Ken Fox. Michelle Dressler.
Yes.
Cindy Carlton.
Aye.
Dan Bickford.
Yes.
Anita Batista. Yes. Passes unanimously.
Okay. That brings us to approval of the minutes for May 4th, 2023. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
I move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
I second that motion.
We have a second with Miss Kathy, or Kathleen, I'm sorry. Can we call for, yeah.
Sorry, I got distracted. I apologize. Let's go. Ryan McCarthy.
Approved.
Ken Fox. Yes. Michelle Dressler. Yes. Cindy Carlton.
Yes.
Dan Bickford.
Yes.
Anita Batista. Yes. Kathleen Pishney.
Yes.
Stephanie Price.
Yes.
Dr. Tudhill.
Yes.
Dean Velasco.
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Okay, let's go on to non-agenda public comment. Do we have a speaker? We do.
Kylie Scholar, you may speak at the podium, and you'll want to turn on the mic.
A reminder, you have 3 minutes.
It's on. You can hear me. Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Kylie Scholar. I'm a 9-year resident of CNT. Been involved in both AYSO at Town Center Park, along with, that's 2 of my children, 3 actually, I suppose, but 2 now. And 2 of my kids play softball at the softball fields at Town Center as well. And first, I wanted to thank you guys so much for your hard work on the extra fields that we have, because we are so blessed to have those fields, and they are getting a lot of good use. Second, I wanted to hopefully address a little bit about the parking that's gone along with the addition of those fields and how it has impacted some of our families. So we are able to now use up to 5 fields at one time, but our parking situation has been dire, to say the least. If there is a time when even just softball is being played at the field in that area, the parking is so impacted that families aren't able to find anything close, which is totally fine because we have legs and we can walk. However, if there's baseball going on at Rio Seco and there's the Sportsplex having some softball and soccer games, any AYSO or flag football or football going on at Town Center Park, along with an event at Rio Seco or anything else in the community in that area, parking is basically impossible. It's come to, as many of you may know, that so many families are parking in the red zone, which obviously we as a league don't condone. I'm on the board also of our USA Softball of SoCal Santee, so I don't know if I want to speak as a board member or just as a citizen, but nonetheless, I have some suggestions, and I know I've been in touch with, I think, if I'm not mistaken, his name is it Kevin Prescott, who I know was looking at doing a skate park in the area as well, in that one beautiful open field that might actually house quite a few parking spots if it was leveled. And I'm just here to maybe ask if there would be a place that we could maybe not put the skate park somewhere else and maybe utilize that field for parking, because I have been told by the president of our league that we've been asked to maybe park across the bridge, which is great, except for the fact that there's only so much street parking along that one street. Sometimes our games don't get over till close to 9 p.m., and that can be a little bit dangerous in that area for families like me who have small children and are trying to tote 3 kids across a bridge down a dark street. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I wasn't sure whether or not you were aware of how bad it's gotten. I understand families getting ticketed, but I'd love to come up with a different solution for that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming up.
Kylie.
Thank you so much.
And number 5.
Sure. I wanted to let you know that on June 28th at the city council meeting, which starts at 6 or 6:30. Why do I never remember that? 6:30, same as this one. It's a Wednesday. The annual Parks and Recreation Month proclamation will be presented. SPARC usually accepts that, or whoever's in attendance in SPARC is welcome to come. Proclamations are at the beginning of the meeting, so you don't have to stay for the entire meeting, but please feel free to come and accept the Parks and Recreation Month proclamation. We have a little surprise this year. It looks a little different. I think you'll be happy.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, item number 6, staff report, park development update. Ann and Sam.
We have a video. Do we have sound? Because we just don't. Fun, playful music in the background.
What is this video of?
Right there. It said in the beginning. So it's our Santee Day Camp promotional video. What's that? There was words and music. Yeah. Do you want to do a do-over? Can I restart this laptop? Sure. How about I go into descriptions and we go back? So wanted to let you know that our spring classes are wrapping up, and many of our performing arts programs will be performing at the San Diego County Fair on June 16th. If you happen to be around, they are usually on the infield stage. Registration is ongoing for summer recreation classes and camps. You can find more information on santeerec.com. June 15th is the first day of summer day camp. It's coming up. Our Teen Center Junior Leader Program is open for registration. Many of our new hires this year actually went through our Junior Leader Program, so we're really happy to homegrown our own staff. So that's a great opportunity for youth to participate in and get some job experience. We are continuing our partnerships with the Santee Branch Library, SD Knights, and now we have a new partner. Santee Lakes provides a ranger program that comes by and does presentations. They'll be reaching out at our teen center and providing one-day passes to our teens. So those partnerships really enhance our teen center programs. Our seniors had their spring luncheon on May 10th with a speaker and music. We had 80 attendees. It was pretty full. May 31st, we went over to Wood Glen Vista Apartments. I know that we've talked about doing outreach to other mobile home parks. So if you know of anybody who lives in any of those mobile home parks and would like us to do some senior outreach there, please call our office. Upcoming, we have this summer, we've decided to do walking a little bit differently because of inclement weather. Sometimes it's a little hot in Santee, right? So we're actually doing a senior buddy walk challenge. So if seniors complete 20 walks over the summer, they do it independently. They can do it any time of day, any location. They win a prize. I've heard it's supposed to be a great prize. So so it's a little bit different where we only had limited times frames that we could do that, and sometimes it was just too hot. And it allows our staff to focus on our summer operations as well. Our parks and fields very, very busy. June is full of tournaments. We are hosting softball tournaments, soccer tournaments, football tournaments, and pickleball tournaments. So every weekend in June, you'll see the parks being packed with lots of stuff happening. Want to try it again? We're going to try it again. Yeah, camp. That looks like fun, doesn't it? Okay, anyway, summer day camp, open for registration right now. I do have a couple other videos. What do you want to do, a do-over? Let me try the next one? Are you sure? Okay, let's try this next one. I'm not hopeful.
No.
Music, dancing, music.
Sing it for us, Ann.
Dancing and music, face painting, dancing. Look at all those smiles.
There we go.
All right. That's our summer concerts. Just want to let you know that concerts start on, and there's actually real live music at those, just so you know. Start on June 15th. But also, are you sure?
Sound like it at the end.
Okay, we're not even going to try camp. Just pretend that was fun. Here you go, concerts. Do over? No? Okay. See you there. So you guys have a guitar fan. This is our new promo. Pretty cool, huh? You guys are the first ones getting it, just so you know. Has the band lineup on there, so hopefully we'll see you at some of those concerts. Yes, we do encourage bicycling, walking, scootering. I always suggest to people like Food for Less. It's a nice little walk from over the bridge, and or Smart and Final too. It's actually much closer than you think. So just so you know, it is very well attended. How's that? Also, if you're already in the mood for music, we still have 2 more Friday Night Lives happening at Trolley Square. So our last 2 ones are going to be Bill McGee, which is tomorrow. So live music, that's great. And then after that, we'll have some more live music with Stomp's Music School. So that one starts at 5:30, just so you know. Then we have, Santee. Oh my gosh, it's already time for Santee Slits. Let's try one more video. Awesome. So a few more details about our Santee Salutes July 4th activity. We have a few new elements. We are bringing out a organizer of cornhole, so we'll have a lot of cornhole playing games that you could play with your friends or family. We also are calling our fun zone the Santee Biggest Backyard. So we'll have lots of fun things for you guys to just pick up and play with, but also some rides and some inflatables. Wanted to know that the canopies are sold out. We sold 16 of them. Parking, we have a total of 600 spaces, and we've only sold 125 so far. But let me tell you, parking is only $10, and you don't have to arrive early. We open the lots at 2. We stop supervising them about 7:30, so you can come in anytime from there and be able to park in your parking spot. So you don't have to get there early to get that done. So we have a lot of spots still available. We'll be promoting that as well. And then we do have a new activity to our lineup. We actually are hosting a movie in the park on September 30th, and it will be a theme of Dia de los Muertos with the movie Coco. So, and some activities related to that. So always doing fun stuff. And then Brews and Bites coming up. Sell tickets. It's October 21st. We have only sold about 200 tickets so far out of our 1,200. Regular price tickets are $60, and we do have DD tickets for $35. It is an over 21 event. We also have sold 3 tables out of our 16. They're $175 for a table that does not include entry. But of course, we encourage you to sell tickets, promote it, and then come and volunteer as well. We appreciate your help, SPARC. And then also in front of you, you have the flyer about the upcoming blood drive on July 25th. If you need more information, you can go to santeerec.com or santeespecialevents.com. Anybody have any questions? Same price. Yeah.
Yeah, but you could fit those anywhere.
Take up a sliver.
So in the August meeting, will we be discussing ways to grow the Brews and Bites event so it can raise more money? And then will we strategize as a committee on that?
You're welcome to forward via email any ideas you might have between now and then. We are already strategizing for that. Typically, our staff, our special events staff, takes the lead on that. So there's a few things they've already implemented. Something called Event Hub, which we've always had a problem with our paperwork with our vendors and stuff like that. So we're trying that out this year just to optimize and make things a little bit more streamlined. And then we are looking into other opportunities like 50-50 raffle, those types of things.
Okay.
So
What's the best way that the SPARC committee can help with that?
So we welcome all your ideas. That doesn't mean always necessarily we're going to implement them. We only have a certain amount of time to implement some things, but you're more than welcome to send us emails. Margie can always forward it to us. She sends you the agenda. Please send us your ideas, and I will send them to the special events supervisor, and then I'll give you an update in August.
Okay.
Yeah. And volunteer. Oh, and volunteer day of, or if even the day before. We do set up. It takes us a pretty long time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Excellent. Sam, do you have any? Okay. Okay, committee reports, general announcements, handouts. Anyone want to talk about anything they've done the past month? I know. Oh. It's an approved agenda. We'd have to change.
Change it.
You're next. Yeah. So we'll start with Dan. I know Dan has something to talk about.
We've always got something to talk about. May 20th, the Special Olympics went fantastic. Had roughly 540 athletes and coaches over at West Hills High. Volunteers were about 400 and something. I don't have an exact number on that. I know it hit 400. I mean, fun was had by all. It was a great experience. Probably had 2,000 people on the campus there.
Very cool.
Very difficult to count in the different areas, but just judging by the amount of people in different areas, I think we got our 2,000 people. Parking wasn't near as bad as we thought it was going to be, even with the competing games over at West Hills Park. That didn't that didn't inhibit our parking. We just had to move a couple of parking lots around, and everybody got parked. So, no, great show. Our next event is June 17th. The Renaissance Experience that we had to reschedule from March because for rain will be June 17th in front of the Y. That's it.
Very cool, Dan. Thank you so much. I saw some great pictures. One of our fellow SPARC members, Linda, took some great pictures out at your event, so I got to enjoy it that way. I have something. We're doing I think this is the 5th annual disc golf for the Carlton Hills kids. So since the park's much more improved over the past 5 to 7 years, the principal started allowing field trips back to the park that's a half a block away from them. So once a year we go out there and we do a disc golf with some of the kids that are the most improved of the year and the honor roll kids. But this will be our 5th or 6th annual on Wednesday. And we're looking for a couple volunteers that know anything about disc golf, because wrangling 50 kids is pretty fun. But that's on Wednesday at 9 o'clock. So you can reach out to me if you have any interest to wrangle some teens for disc golf. Anyone else have any announcements?
Can we discuss what are we doing about the parking situation at the Town Center Park? Is that
We personally aren't doing anything. That's the SPARC. It's not a SPARC-driven anything.
Nicholas talked about it briefly in the last meeting. Can you remind me what he said they were working on?
I think he was doing, I don't know. I don't want to quote him, and we could always go back and look at the video, but I think he was going to look into that area, or look at the plans for, in general, the Town Center Park.
It's the second time in so many meetings that it's been brought to our attention that the parking is awful. It's starting to reflect badly on the city of Santee, I think. And I drive by it on the weekend and I see how bad it is. I wonder if there's something that the SPARC committee can do as a recommending body to the city council or to the members of this paid members of the city to decide what we're going to do to fix that.
I think we can go. I think once Nick gets back and before the next meeting, we can ask for a parking update as part of his overall updates, because I think in the background he's doing stuff with the city staff and the city planners. Okay. So and if we don't feel that that's enough, then we can ask for it to be on an agenda item, okay, and we can make a recommendation that we can vote on to have city staff and people to look at it. But usually that can happen behind the scenes without us having to make an agendized item and tell them to do it. I think he's working on it. They're looking at that piece of grass that young lady was talking about and some other areas. But actually, there are some SPARC members up here that have brought up the parking multiple times as well.
Yeah, I think that was at one of the former meetings.
We know the parking is rough there, and especially when we have multiple cool events at all of our city fields.
Yeah,
it makes it challenging.
I agree. My the office manager that works for me had an event, a lacrosse game, and she said the parking was just ridiculously hard, and she doesn't want to come back to Santee again. So it was kind of a bummer to hear that, So hopefully we can fix that,
Yeah, hopefully we will definitely ask for an update from our staff for that.
Thank you,
Mr. Tuthill. You have anything?
Nothing for the good of the order. No.
Okay. Let's. I'm sorry. I started at that end.
No, you went to Dan.
I looked that way and I said, did anyone have anything? What would you like to say?
I have something to say.
What you got?
At the May meeting, Mr. Chavez suggested a reserve policy be created to regulate how SPARC funds are used to be put on a future agenda. I request a discussion of SPARC funds and how they should be used be put on the August agenda, and would like some information in writing provided as well. My understanding is that reserves are meant to cover expected expenses in case of income downturn. What are SPARC's expected expenses and/or financial obligations if we have any financial obligations? What is SPARC's usual yearly sources or source of income amounts by event or activity. What are SPARC's regular yearly expenditures? Once again, amounts by event or activity. I would like data going back at least 10 years, but more is okay. I realize the numbers for 2020 and 2020 through 2022 may be distorted due to the pandemic. And Ann, Margie has a copy of this.
Okay, great.
So that's all I have to say.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we decided to, since he wasn't here to present on that, to move that to the next meeting. So, because Nick wasn't here, the policy has not been created, but they are working on it behind the scenes. So,
No, I realize that, and I was going to send an email to city staff and this body, but since Nick wasn't going to be here, I thought, well, I'll just
cool,
make an announcement here.
excellent, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Miss Stephanie.
This isn't new, but this is good to have on hand for the mosquitoes at the concerts or at the Little League fields and stuff. They're coming out in big droves this season.
Are they out this
They
year?
were
In fact,
really
I haven't
bad the
been
other
out
night
there yet.
Over at the Little League, it was like 7:30, and they're like dive bombing you.
I do know that the county has a schedule online for when they put out that organic stuff to try to get rid of or to slow down the mosquitoes. So I'd encourage you to look at it. I do know I see the helicopter buzzing around and dropping that quite frequently. So usually they do it right before summer concerts. If
Yeah,
I'm
they're called San Diego County Vector Control. The more concerned citizens that vocalize their needs in the specific area, they address those in a more timely manner. So it's San Diego County Vector Control. In fact, they were just by and provided us wipes for our upcoming events, like the bug repellent wipes.
So I encourage you, as a committee member and all of your friends that have to sit out there and get eaten alive every time at your youth sporting events, to shoot them an email or give them a call and ask them when their next treatment is
It's
for
needed, yeah.
the town center community park area.
Just in case, just bring your bug repellent.
Oh.
And your
And your guitar. Anyone else? All right, great. Let's move on to item number 8, which is Steve Miller. He's the principal civil engineer, and he's going to give us a community center update.
Good evening, SPARC members. My name's Steve Miller. I'm the principal engineer of the Capital Improvements Division. I'm here to give an update on the status of the Santee Community Center design. Currently, this project is at its 75% completion by HMC Architects, who was consulted by the city to perform the design. Our first slide that you're seeing here is the rendering of what the entranceway will be off of the main parking lot. In the front of the building, we have a large sign basically stating the Santee Community Center. We have a large glass foyer entrance to allow natural light from the north and southern sides of the building. Our next slide here is basically showing some of the concepts that in overall of the project from where it's located. It will be located at the Town Center Community Site adjacent to the YMCA facility and have access ways north onto Riverwalk Drive, south across the pedestrian bridge into Town Center East. This is just an overall rendering of where the architect kind of started with the facility and design and trying to make sure that we had a really good flow for pedestrians and bicyclists through the surrounding area in the park. As you can see over where my cursor is showing, we have the existing YMCA facility and the pools. Across from the pool deck to the north area will be an expansion of the grass fields to become a larger parking lot to handle the additional vehicles that will be coming on site. Part of the lower existing parking lot, about 28% of it is being removed to fit the actual footprint of the building, as you can see here. A little bit more of a blow-up of the building. We are designing the facility to have newer ADA parking to be closer to the community center building itself. Item here you're seeing is 12. We will be adding electric vehicle charge parking stations in front of the building, and also have more striped areas in the parking lot for EV parking, which is now a new requirement in the California Building Code. In the front entranceway here is our one of two entry areas. We have an entrance on the north side of the building, and also from the south side with a southerly plaza. This rendering here is showing the floor plan schematics for the first floor. So visitors can either enter from the north side in through the foyer here. They can also enter from the south side into the foyer. Where item number 9 is here is where the entrance location will be for city staff to greet people that come into the facility for either rentals or provide information. We have a large event center room, which is shown here in item 2. This large event center has the ability to be split in half for smaller groups. Some storage areas so we can have on-site tables, chairs, and other items for their larger events. Item 3 is a concession area, prep area kitchen, where food could be prepped, kept warm if we were having vendors come in to supply for an event. We have an outer parking area over here, which will have the ability, if anyone wanted to rent this facility and utilize food trucks could come in and park and provide food service into this outer parking area. Or, I'm sorry, not parking area, seating area that's covered. And I'll go further in that with some of the other slides and details. On the northwest side of the building, we have what will be the restroom buildings, an elevator, some utility rooms for the building, a staff office area with some restrooms and storage. This slide just shows the second floor. So if you were to enter through the main entrance area, you would come up a stairway or use an elevator and come up to the second floor entrance foyer, which is going to lead out to the south to a patio area that's been designed to hold approximately 80 people outside, and an inside room shown as number 2, which can house approximately 100 people. Upstairs, we have additional restrooms, storage. Item 16 here is a concession service area with the intent of design is if you were to serve drinks or snacks, that could be served from that area to the deck area, or also provide food into the upper room. On the left-hand side of the screen, this is kind of a 3D rendering of what if you were entering into the facility from the northern entrance, you would see this larger kind of grand staircase design that would wrap up and go up to the second floor. And the detail below is the semi-covered patio deck. This allows to provide shade so sun isn't coming through into the room as labeled as number 2, and then also has open slats, so just let a little more light in so it wasn't too dark. This is an aerial rendering that was taken with drone footage and also placing the 3D rendering of the building. You can see to the south in the back is the parking area for the Town Center East parking lot. The entrance glass area foyer with solar on the roof. The building is designed to be sustainable, to have power generated on site for not all electrical operations at this time, but for a large chunk of it. To the far east side of the building, this is basically a large outdoor patio area where staff can have storage for other types of events. The design intent of the building is to be open to all types of events for the city, whether it's going to be weddings, smaller room service, any other recreation programs that either SPARC would like to see in the community or that is being programmed by community services. This is an aerial rendering looking towards the north on the rear side of the building, where you can see some of the solar panels that are on the rear side of the building, the outside patio deck that looks down onto the lower mezzanine plaza area. And for those of you that have been on this site before, on the eastern edge of the YMCA site, it's just kind of a slope that comes down. The design's to put some steps and seat walls in here, so you could have some kind of event out here, maybe a small concert, guitars, venue, whatnot. It's trying to open it for as many possibilities for the building. And then off to the southeastern corner is the outside patio deck that would lead off of the main event center room. Here, this is a larger rendering of the entrance foyer. This is where staff would be to greet and help members of the community that are coming in to try to ask questions about the facility, city programs and events, and to schedule the building. This rendering shows some of the kind of the environmental concepts and design to try to be more conscious about energy use, showing space that the building can be designed for additional photovoltaics, how we can have natural air flow through the building and vent out in the times of the year where we don't need to use air conditioning. Other operable windows to allow air through and taking advantage of as much light as possible in the building while still having enough coverings on the north and south side so to reduce glare. This is another rendering coming across the existing pedestrian bridge from Town Center East leading towards the building. Some more schematics basically on our energy consumptions on the building, how HVAC systems are designed, exhausting heat out of the ceilings, the calculations that are kind of required for design for the PV systems. This rendering here is in the larger event center room. We'll have large open glass kind of piano style doors that open up to the south onto the outer patio deck with it's kind of an artistic ceiling that's suspended. The architect was going for not just spraying the whole ceiling black, as you might have seen in some commercial buildings, with raised light above these louvers that kind of give a filtered light effect inside of the room. This rendering here is a view from the upper patio deck. To the side over here is kind of the piano glass doors that can slide and open this up. The design of the building was you could have a larger event that could fit people inside of this room. You could close it off and have a separate event outside on the patio, combine the both just to give the most flexibility as possible for different types of events, programs, and uses for the building. This view is from the southern entranceway looking up towards the upper patio. There is an additional lower covered patio that can be used for any kind of smaller outdoor events, seating. And where we are in design is staff's reviewing the 75% design, and then we are returning comments back to the architect. We're anticipating on having 100% design completed this year. We'll finalize the environmental documents with city planners, and we are planning on having the project go into construction fiscal year 25-26 when we have all of the impact fee revenues that are paying for this project received. And I can answer any questions that you might have.
Excellent, Steve. Thank you so much. We will start down on that end. Stephanie.
I have a question,
Yes, Kathleen.
or a couple. And by the way, it looks like awesome. It looks really cool. I'll
Yeah,
tell you.
we're really excited about the building. I mean, it looks really good. We're trying to make it kind of a grand showcase in the town center area. We want to bring people in. We want to have small events. We want to have large events. And what we're trying to do is have a building that once it's completed can have multi-uses of however we want to do it. Mm-hmm. One thing I did leave off on the presentation that some feedback that we've had from design comments from community services was the upper room is larger, and could we potentially split that in half so that you could have more really small rooms that are essentially about 20 by 30. So maybe there's some small usage for either teens or seniors if you want to use a small area and you don't want to have a large, the large room downstairs. So we are going to incorporate that in the 100% design plans.
And I really want to make sure I understand correctly design and the use of the space is that from what I could see, it looks like a building that will house city staff, and then the rest of it is for like events to be rented out as events. And I didn't see any certain spaces dedicated to any city programs. I mean, does like a senior program have to put into reserve event space or any other, like camps, day camps,
So,
park and rec, programs?
so the way we've been trying to design the building is to not lock into any specific use. As cities grow and change, we want to make it as most flexible as possible in design. So, what we've received back from city council and our council committee members has basically been, let's design this building to be a jewel of the city, but also to be able to have multiple functions. And so we haven't specifically designed or designated any specific use in the building. We're leaving that open. So once it's open, however anybody would like to book and program the building for its use, that's what it's there for. It's a community building. We're not designating the building for large events only or, certain specific small things. So I think to answer your question, if there's a senior event or something, it would just be booked or it could be scheduled in advance to use these spaces through any time during the week or on weekends.
That's what I was wondering, is that certain programs, if they need to go through this, okay, we need to reserve this space, we need to reserve that space. It's not like, well, we know we can have the park and rec classes that my kids used to go to in the summertime, held there. It's all a matter of, it's an event venue, and any programs, Santee programs, senior programs, any of those have to reserve space. And you're saying after it's opened?
So
Is that correct?
I think the programming and the operations of the space will happen once the space is fully designed, and I'm sure Ann and her staff have that's a whole mountain they have to come up, to come up with the operations and the policies for the usage of the space. But the space being multi-use, it's pretty flexible. I mean, so unlike these buildings that we bought here, the shopping center, they were already pre-made, and we kind of said, here's the senior room, and here's a teen room, and here's a room you can come and do your dance or your dinner party. This space is being functionally built to support anything. So I think the programming of the space, that'll evolve over time once we get the space built, and in the conversations I've had.
Okay, so
But it's not a teen center and a senior center. It is a event. It's an
event
flexible
venue.
I'm sorry?
It's an event venue still.
You could,
You could call it.
there are
whatever.
rooms that could be utilized for events. There are rooms that could be utilized for a variety of recreational programs. It's all about programming elements and what those programs are.
Okay, that's what my concern was, if after it's built, if there's consideration on some space being dedicated to Park and Rec holding classes and activities and things there so that they don't have to reserve and modify, chair organizations and everything every time they want to have, bingo or something like that. Yeah, just kind of, that's what I was wondering about, is what the possibilities are and what might or might not happen.
I completely understand what you're saying, and I've heard these concerns from a couple other committee members, and I think they're valid if you're looking at this space as a senior and teen center, but I think it's moved more to a multi-use facility that we could utilize for many things in the city, and I think that's the way that the council and everyone's pushing forward for this space. So,
But
I think
that's not what it was intended to
you're-
be.
you're
It's
correct. This is not the
intended to be a teen/senior center.
I completely understand what you are saying, because I've been here for the entire time this project's been going along. I think where it's at now is definitely a different spot where it was 10 years ago when we started this. And I think it's still going to be a great facility for us to use. And I think along with all of our other spaces, Town Center Community Park East was built, and there are specific policies in place to cater to our Santee folks, our Santee youth programs, before outside folks. And I have all the faith in the world that the staff will have some of those policies put in place for our own folks as well.
When staff does have some plans on what they're going to do, I would really like to hear what those are going to be. Like if you guys have discussed it and said, okay, what we're going to do is we will have classes held in these places.
So I think that's great. I think we can have some specific agenda items on the programming and the operational ideas for the space. I think the first thing we need to do, and I think this is the hardest to do, we need to get a space first. We need to get it built before it goes up 100 more times. I don't think this opportunity is going to come. I mean, we could put this off for another 10 years, but I don't know if that's the best. That's not, in my opinion, that's not the best way to move forward with this. But I understand and hear all your concerns and everyone's concerns.
And I have a question for Ann. Do you know which city staff is going to be housed over there?
We have, no, not exactly, but I have made a recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah. I have made a recommendation to have the majority of our staff, not our director, possibly not the manager, which was myself, but center director and their support staff.
So you suggested the majority of Park and Rec staff?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Cindy, I'm sorry, is that it, Kathleen? Yes, it is. Okay, Cindy.
Cindy, parking. The 28% parking that is being taken for the footprint, is that even as the amount of spaces that are taken away for the footprint, are they being replaced
Do you know the net
in
add?
front?
Yeah, we have a net add of over 60 stalls. So by removing it, we're not just simply building a new lot that matches that. We're far exceeding what we had prior.
Okay, so plus 60 is what we'll have in the front.
Correct.
Okay, another question. You said EV parking, striping. Go
Yeah.
back and tell me, because these are new laws, and I noticed that we put EV parking up front all the time, but, so we have so many EV spots because of a state mandate,
Correct.
and so tell me more about that, please.
So two things is with all new construction, and the city has a climate action plan, sustainability plan that that's been adopted that we have to follow. So for all new construction facilities, we are installing EV parking and EV charge stations. It's also a requirement under the California Building Code to not only provide EV charging at new facilities, but to at least get the backbone in to put in conduits and things on your site. So down the road, if as EVs take off, you have the ability to add more at a reduced cost. Because a lot of facilities don't have EV charge stations, one, because the cost of the EV charge station, or as we found with a lot of city projects, it's not the cost of the install of the single charge station is where all the money's at. It's to bring the power to that area to do it. And so the architect is following the code of making sure that, we have enough EV charge stations when it opens, but we also have designated areas that in the future, if we need to increase the amount of charge stations, we have the backbone in the ground with the conduits and enough power to the facility to be able to provide it if we needed it.
Okay, and it's typical to put the EV stations as close to the front of the building as possible without disturbing the handicap spots?
Yeah, so what we have in the actual site design, we have the handicap stalls that are the closest to the building with the ADA accessible ramps and access ways. Several of the stalls in ADA also are required to have EVs by code. Those have those. And then the other stations that you saw that were kind of up front, due to vandalism and issues like that, we don't want to put in stations that cost $14,000 a pop to put them back in the far corner. And so the intent is, not to give someone preference because you drive an electric car, so here you get to park up front. It's really more of a maintenance and vandalism issue. If we have those up front, it's close to the building. We have the parking lot lights, building lights. The building will have security cameras on it as well. And it's really meant for that. Like the EV charge station we installed at Mass Park, we put it as close as we could to the restroom building in an area that we knew would be the most to fill up with parking, so we have people coming and going just to reduce vandalism and things like that.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle? No? Dan? Okay. You have 3 minutes. No, I'm just playing.
Could you bring up the slide of the first floor, please? Okay, so we got roughly 1,000 square feet, maybe 1,200 square feet of office space there for the for staff.
Yes.
How much staff does it take to run an event center?
How many, it depends on, I would consider this a multi-use center. Our dynamic right now is we have a manager, we have 2 full-time supervisors, and 3 full-time coordinators. So you would anticipate that we would need more to one more additional full-time staff, at least, to run another element of programming.
So in the office space that's down here, there's basically 2 small offices for whoever's going to be managing the facility. Item number 9 is going to be the seating area for staff to greet the public, to help schedule events. Item 13 you're seeing here is a separate gender-neutral restroom. And then over here there's basically a counter space. There's a refrigerator and a sink in some storage area. This area along here is what's this little rectangular is more of a utility chase to bring utilities up to the second floor. Little alcove in here, which is basically going to be a file cabinet. And then along area 8 was, we haven't finished the floor plan. Really, it's more open as we finish design, but it's to give the space to community services to do whatever they need to operate the building.
The intent was to have 2 enclosed offices, so you see number 10, those are 2 doored offices. Right now, there's only me with a door on my office. And then to have 4 flexible, at least 4 within that, where number 8 is, for flexible workspaces and even maybe portable workspaces that can go out to rooms. It's a new concept to take your computer with you or whatever you need. Space 9 was intended to have at least 2 workstations there as well.
Okay, thank you. Because at City Council, my comments was, where's the teen center? Where's the senior center? Not 1 square inch is dedicated to teens or seniors. You know, a year ago, I turned to you at City Council and said, they just completely shut us out of the planning on this thing. And sure enough, they did. So I don't think that this meets the needs of the city, the needs of the citizens. These items number 4 here, these locations number 4, those are going to quickly get eaten up by event storage there, tables, different sizes. It's a beautiful event center. It's a beautiful building. I'll give it that. It's a beautiful building. I just don't think that it currently meets the needs of the city. But the city in coming up with this and working on this design lost track of why they were doing it in the first place. Teens and seniors
Who live in Santee.
who live in Santee. And they went for the maximum rentable space.
Exactly.
And I'm not against rentable space. The event room over here is beautiful. I know it's going to be a great addition. We need that event space in Santee. But we're building a community center, not an event center. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, the current teen center is about 1,400 square feet. I haven't measured it, but it's about 1,400 square feet. They've got couches and desks and chairs, and they've got stuff. Okay, all the stuff that our teens are using in their programs. Nowhere here can they put their stuff. They can come reserve it and have a pizza party or something, but they have no place to put their stuff. Seniors are currently limited in what they can do. Oh, by the way, the teen center is in use by about 45, 50 children every single weekday. 5 or more days a week it's in use. Seniors are already constricted with what they can do. They meet about 3 days a week here at City Hall, but they have nowhere to put their stuff. If they wanted to do bingo, they have no place to store bingo. They'd have no place here either. That's what we were supposed to be doing with this center. I've had discussions with Nick about the center. The basic thing is trust me, I'm not going to lose sight of the programs. But he can't answer one question: where do they put their stuff? So they're going to be required to break down their events every day. So every day we're going to bring out the couch and the foosball tables and whatever other stuff that they're going to use for that day. And then what's going to take precedence in the future? And this is a huge concern for me. If I've got a senior program that's meeting on Friday, and they meet every Friday, and they meet in the same quadrant or location in this building, yet now we've got a paid event that wants that space, who takes precedence? Are the seniors going to get kicked out on their regular day for a paying customer? Probably. I'm assured that it's not going to happen, but money talks. If the council is true to their comments that these center plans are 75% complete, then adding dedicated space can easily be achieved. My recommendation: dedicate that second floor. And let's go to the second floor, please. Dedicate that second floor, as noted in number 2 here. Dedicate that second floor to the teens and the seniors. They can have their stuff. They can have their meetings. They can have their programs. That's easy. That's not what they want to do. They want to make rentable space up there. Want to split that off so that they're I agree they could put a dividing wall in there.
So if you use impact fees to build a community center that you turn around and then make revenue off of, is that the right use of impact fees?
Yeah.
So you're serving a need. So we built a new community in Santee, and that new community created a need for a community center that then you turn around and rent out.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, I
Hold
just
on.
wanted
Yeah,
to let you know,
let's-
there is
let's-
an annual cost to operating a center, electricity, gas, water, all those types of things. So the impact fees don't cover ongoing regular expenses.
Getting it started.
And usually the impact fees can go to whatever the council sees fit to build for our community. So there's no,
Like expanding like maintenance budgets for parks and things like that, or expanding.
yeah. Usually the impact fees, I think, go to monies for building.
Impact fees are taken in by developers that are building across the city, but it's to construct and install missing facilities, but they cannot be used for maintenance or operational costs.
So, Dan,
So
let's finish you up.
I'm going to make a motion that SPARC communicate with the city manager and the city council by letter and in person with the following statement. SPARC does not support the community center design presented to city council on May 10th, 2023. SPARC does not feel that the design meets the needs of the community in which we are embodied to serve. SPARC looks forward to working together with the council for a solution that addresses the community's needs.
Okay. Thank you, Dan.
Could I have a second?
I second that.
Okay. So the motion on the table, as Dan just alluded to, is to communicate with the city manager and the city council by letter and in person that we do not support the community center design presented, which is the one today. I'm pretty sure it's the same one.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's the same presentation.
Yeah. So I haven't, do we have to vote on the motion before we get comments? No. Okay. Okay, so let's get comments, and then we will move on that motion that has a first and a second. So let's head this way.
I would like to review any minutes of meetings the city council has had probably about the same subject, and maybe this has been brought up and we could review that in an additional meeting. I mean, perhaps these things have been discussed. I'm not sure, Ann, if you were at any of those meetings or.
This design or the.
Well, like, it seems to me like Dan, I agree with Dan that I would like to see teens and seniors have dedicated space devoted to this new center. But I'm curious if it's been discussed before and it was like taken out of the ultimate design.
Yes, there was a much larger space designed, theoretical design a few years ago.
Okay.
And it was much, much more money than we had. It was unfunded, and it was done in 3 phases. So the thought on that one was to get phase 1 up, and after that was built, then we'd have some more funds in our impact fees, and however, and then we could build a second phase and a third phase. And somewhere along the line, I think the thought was we need something that's could work fully built once instead of waiting for additional funds. But there's plenty of minutes out there. You could look at council meetings.
Yes.
They're all online.
Okay. I'll review those.
Some of the comments that you asked were specifically commented on by the public when this was presented at City Council, which was, I can't remember the date, but it was within the last month, right?
It was on May 10th.
May 10th. They have videos, just like we videotape ours. I recommend that would be your best reference. I don't want to quote anybody.
Yep, no problem.
It's always best to hear it as it occurs.
And that's the first date that this plan
Yes.
was presented to city council. Before that, it was in committee.
Okay.
Yes. So before that, it was, we were somewhat involved, the SPARC committee, and we were able to see some of the design and the thoughts along the way. And I think I don't know why it changed or some of the things were cut, but I can assume that it was for funding. And this is what I think city staff was directed to tell me, actually I remember being at that meeting, tell me what you could build with the money we have right now.
And I agree with the idea of moving forward with something is better than sitting on it and waiting for it to be
It's been
perfect.
years and years and years.
Yeah.
And that project that was shown to everyone and everybody loved because we had dedicated spaces, we had these kind of spaces, we had 3 buildings basically. And it wasn't realistic. And I remember specifically a couple council members saying, why do you show us something we can't afford and we can't build?
Yeah.
So they were given direction back to staff to design us something that could meet the needs. And I think that's why this is the first time we saw it, because we weren't really involved in anywhere between the find us something we could afford and this presentation. So I think that's why Dan's having a lot of heartburn, because the last time we saw this, it wasn't this.
Yeah.
It was something different.
Now, not to speak out of turn, but would it be possible that some of these storage units on floor 1 could be used for the teen or senior stuff and they could bring it out from like nearby storage room each time they need it? Is that part of the design, it looks like?
So one comment that came since we presented to council on May 10th and what came from community services was, can we do more types of storage and have it segregated storage? So in the large storage area here, there's going to be several modular storage units that can be put in there. Originally, we had large 40-foot long units, and then after speaking with Ann, we don't know how it's going to be used, but it might be better for the different types of program events in the city. Let's, instead of having one colossal storage, can we do 2 or 3 or 4 smaller units? We have directed the architect to break those out into smaller. Okay. So that way there is an ability, as you guys are speaking tonight, if you wanted to use storage for teen events or senior events or whatnot, it could be segregated out that way. My direction is to basically, design and construct a building that can give the city basically the most bang for our buck.
Yep.
And filling it with the most amount of uses while not, hindering the city of any other type of event that we could have. And so, like I said, on the second floor, that large room now, we're going to have the architect have the ability to split that out. And so then we could use 2 smaller areas. And I think that's a good approach in design to change that. But still, maybe there's a larger event that would rather be on the second floor versus the larger event room downstairs.
Right. And you have the patio, which is nice on the second floor too, which might make for a good meeting or a good event.
Yeah, and I think, as the architect was trying to lay out is, we want to give the most amount of function to the community. And the architect that we've hired, HMC Group, they do this a lot of community centers. Like, they've worked with many cities doing design. So the intent was always for them is, let's give the city the biggest project that we could fit within budget and have enough parking for on site, and still open it up for however it wants to get used. And so my goal in design is just, to not handcuff us, is to just have most options available.
I have a comment. I'm sorry.
I'll get back. I'll get back to
come
you in
back
1
to you when you're
second.
done.
Ken, do you have anything? Okay. Ryan, are you good?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you.
Doctor? I'm good. Miss Anita? I'm okay. Back to you, Kathleen.
Okay, my concern is that Ann had mentioned after it was up and built, then looking at what would be used for programs, excuse me, and services. And in past experiences, not with the city of Santee, but with other municipalities, yes, we'll get it up and then things change. And so if something isn't, this isn't really actually directed at you because you designed what the city said they needed. But if we're just like, well, okay, we'll wait and we'll decide later, my fear is that, well, that can just be pushed aside. And if we look at this, it's serious because we do have programs going on every day for a lot of people. And I think that really is serious enough to think about dedicating certain space to that before it's like, well, we'll build the event center and then we'll decide because, sorry, I don't believe it will go that smoothly. And even if these programs are given storage somewhere, every day they need to pull it all out for every activity they have during the week. As Dan said, they're pulling it out. I don't know how far they have to carry it from their storage locker. And I know in the beginning, this was a community center for things like community stuff. And I thought they talked later about making it areas of it flexible that we could rent out to events so that it was bringing in money. And it seems like the original purpose has been eliminated, and it's really not a community center unless you're renting, you have a wedding, and then you can use it.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, anyone else have any comments? We are going to take a vote on putting a letter to City Council that SPARC does not support the community center as designed, as presented to us on this design. And we feel that it does not meet the needs for the community which we are emboldened to serve. So, Ann, could you call a roll? This is to...
Sure.
I'm sorry, can you make sure that what we're voting on so that
Read
we
it.
don't think like we're voting aye, we like it, and nay.
So we're
we don't
voting
like it.
yes.
A yes vote.
If a yes vote means we agree that we, SPARC, do not support the community center.
Okay, yes
That's
vote is
design.
no. Okay,
So if you vote no, that means you like this.
okay,
If you vote yes, that means you don't like this. You want dedicated space that you've been talking about.
thank you.
Does everybody get that? You vote yes if you do not like the way this is designed.
Sorry, one more question. Is it, this will get presented to the city council and they'll take it under consideration
Yeah,
as an official
As our
SPARC?
bylaws state, we're an advisory committee, and we could put forth any ideas that we come to consensus on. If it's an agendized item, we can come up with a motion, we vote on it, and that item needs to be taken to city council. However, staff can provide an item that is different than ours, and both of those can be presented to council. So,
And Ann, are we allowed to hear Ann's, are you allowed to comment on your opinion on this?
Sure.
And
I have over 30 years in recreation programming experience. My heart and soul is in community recreational programs. I can take anything and turn it into anything. I can put tiny tots anywhere. I can make it happen. I've done it here in Santee for over almost 20 years. I came here and there wasn't a community center. And I thought, what is going on here? And with all the flexible space that we do have, I had a program where the teen center is now was a dance classroom. I had a meeting room that turned into a dance classroom. Those spaces currently are multi-use. We do service many HOAs, many nonprofit types of recreational activities, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. Our programs always take priority. They have always taken a priority. Our programs are there. We do appreciate when we need some flexibility that, we have Christmas parties and maybe the seniors have to do a walk instead of exercise inside the room. Those are all variety things. I have seen a trend in the world of recreation for flex space. In fact, we just got our management magazine that's talked about flex space. So would it be great to have concrete dedicated space? I don't know. There's a trend in the world of recreation that everything remains flexible. And I'm a recreation programmer. I've run programs in the middle of playgrounds over a variety of places in Carmel Valley without four walls. I do it here still too. I think a creative manager can make anything happen anywhere.
okay. Ryan, are you good? Doctor, you said you're good? Okay, everyone's good. I actually didn't get to comment on this, and I want to comment on this before we vote because, this is kind of what I do for a living for a very large corporation in San Diego. And I could tell you in all large corporate environments, this is the last project we had was a $550 million project up in Sorrento Valley. And we built a multi-purpose space, but we added an auditorium because, we had money to. But everything in the corporate world is going to multi-use spaces, flexible spaces. We don't even have offices for anybody from senior directors and below anymore. So they don't get a four-walled office that sits there and sits 90% of the time unused. There are more flexible workspaces. The event spaces that we built were very similar to this, just a little bit bigger and a lot more money. And so I know that this is completely different than the design that we were shown. And that comment that Dan made was the exact comment he made to me. And I said, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I made it to our old Parks and Rec director, Bill, before he was gone. I said, we'd like to stay engaged and as a committee have input into what's coming. I just think that this project is completely different than the one that was shown to us due to money, due to space, due to time. But I think this space is awesome, and I've seen the spaces that Ann has programmed different activities for, and they were an office, they were a bigger office or a training room or something to that effect. So I think this has potential. I totally understand your concerns, the concerns that you have that there's no space that says teens and seniors. I understand that. But I do like this space, and I think it'd be beautiful, and I would hate to wait another 10 years to get one built. So those are my thoughts. Let's call for a vote. This vote is a yes if you do not like this design. Yes, we want to send an email to to somebody. Yeah.
like-
I just want to make sure everybody knows
Yeah,
it.
and if you don't, if you're not clear on that, please ask before you
Yes,
vote.
I want to make sure
Because it's
you're
kind of
clear.
opposite. You're saying yes, that you support a letter of no support.
Yes.
Right.
And I vote to the motion that was made is saying, I don't like this design and I want to let city council know. If you say yes, that's what you're saying right now. So a yes vote is, I don't like this design. Is that correct?
And, well, let's read it exactly.
I read it
verbatim,
exactly, but I
okay?
want to make sure.
Maybe
'cause
read it
some
one more
folks-
time before we vote.
I
Read it
don't want
one more
anybody
time.
to be
Okay,
confused
okay.
if they say
agree.
yes or
Okay.
they say no.
Repeat the motion.
Okay, I'm going to repeat the motion, okay, because it's important. This is an advisory vote anyway. We don't have any power to tell the city council that we reject their idea. But what we're saying is that SPARC does not support the community-centered design presented to city council on May 10th, 2023. SPARC does not feel that the design meets the needs of the community in which we are embodied to serve. SPARC looks forward to working with the council for a solution that addresses the community's needs. It's no more than no less. So yes means you agree with that statement. No means you don't agree with that statement.
There we go. Let's call for a vote.
Call for a vote. Anita Batista.
Yes.
Dan Bickford.
Yes.
Cindy Carlton.
Abstain.
Michelle Dressler.
I'd also like to abstain.
Ken Fox.
I'm abstaining.
Ryan McCarthy.
No.
Kathleen Pishney.
Yes.
Stephanie Price.
Yes.
Dr. Tuthill.
No.
Dean Valesco.
No.
Let me tally the votes. Abstentions, no. The vote is 3 abstentions, 4 yeses, and 3 noes. Is that correct? So the motion
Carries, I think.
carries.
It does. Good job. Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Item number 9, future agenda items.
Excuse me.
Yes.
So do we need to do something about that yes vote? Is somebody going to write something up? Is somebody going to do an email, make a presentation in person?
It goes to the director who informs the city manager.
Yes, so the way our thing works, that information will go to our director will tell the city manager, and the city manager will give a memo or.
If your corresponding secretary would like to write something specifically, and I would just quote the motion, you're welcome to do so. But that's what will be reflected in the minutes.
Okay.
So just quote that, and, yeah. So, and then we'll see where that goes when they present it to the city council. And I'm not sure if it'll be an agenda item at city council. It might just be a memorandum or something. Yeah.
Through the city manager.
It'll be given to them because that's our bylaws. So, okay. Future agenda items. I have your thoughts on the budget and, I'm sorry, the
SPARC finances.
SPARC finances, policies.
Reserve
Yes,
policy.
reserve policies. We have that, and that will be put on at some point, probably when we get an outline of one of those together, then we can discuss it.
Can I add something briefly?
Sure.
Ryan, I know you asked, how can we help? So I feel like I need to buffer that a little bit. I'm going to request that our special event supervisor, who has like 4 things happening in the next day, within the next week or so, she sends some correspondence to you to give you a little bit of an update of how can you help with the Brews and Bites Festival. I wanted to mention beyond volunteering, it could be ideas. It could also be, hey, these vendors I know will come. Hey, did you think about this? Those types of things. So I'll have her write a correspondence to all of SPARC just to say, hey, I know that we're not meeting in July, and then we get into August, and honestly, she can't even come in August because she has a concert that night, but I can speak on her behalf and get some additional feedback from the committee. I just wanted to add to that.
Nicholas was saying how he's going to rely on us to find more vendors and to solicit more
Yeah,
vendors.
so we'll put that in there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so before you joined, when we had the COVID year, the first year back, when we had the mini Brews and Bites, SPARC was very involved with reaching out to folks around the community to see if they wanted to come participate. Because, to be honest with you, the restaurant and service industry took the biggest hit. So we were having a hard time getting folks. We actually catered some of the food for that event. So there's many ways we could talk offline as well. I have a whole thing that I had, but the correspondence that she sends is really cool. She sends us the PDF that we can send. Like if you have Jim that owns a hamburger stand, you can say, Jim, do you want to be a part of this? And you send them this PDF, and on the PDF it says, send it back to the special events department.
Or it'll say, log on to this hub.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If they actually get something cooler in the back end, then they'll be able to go and fill it out online instead of having to do it the old-fashioned way. Future agenda items, Michelle, Dan. Nope. I'm sorry, ladies. Did you have anything down there? Okay. Future ideas? Okay. With that, I'd like to call this meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Out to a total of about $11,330. Installation of all of the new equipment and the surfacing comes out to about $51,315. If you factor in the grant approval of the aforementioned $49,100.